Bricks. Should it matter in our industry? You're here with Mark Batwell at perfectgardens.com. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Just want to say thank you so much to Aaron for asking this question. Mentioned that Mr. Grow had a video on bricks. Actually just got released today. I highly recommend you go check it out. It was actually a really great video. I'm not going to get too much into depth about it because I think in that video they did a really great job at explaining why bricks could be important in our industry. And in my mind, when I started to think about the bricks, still to this day, there's probably only like one operation that I thought actually was equipped to be able to use an instrument like this and properly extract data that I think could in some level be beneficial to the industry long term. Where my opinion from bricks comes from, and remember, like I say, opinions are like assholes, everyone has one, is from where I actually come from, where I was born. I was born in Salinas, California, and if anyone's ever been in Salinas or Monterey or anywhere in that area, we're just not dealing with lettuce, but we're dealing with tons of wineries all over the place. So bricks is actually something that's relatively pretty familiar to me. I was introduced to the thought process maybe 6 years ago. Again, only been in the industry about 13 years, so relative awareness started about 13 years ago. Although when it was originally introduced to me, it was actually when I took a winery trip. And I went to go meet the farmer, obviously, because he wanted to cross over into our industry. And he walked me through his entire farm. And it was a pretty massive farm out in Monterey, California. And I remember him bringing up bricks was because I asked him a question. I was like, so how do you actually know when to harvest the grapes? He then went in to go tell me about how a lot of farmers will just grow the grapes, but they won't do the fermentation process. And there's actually a very small amount of farms that actually grow it and do the fermentation process. And he told me about the bricks process because it's a way of measuring the amount of sugars in the grapes. The reason why it's important to measure the amount of sugars in the grape is because, and he didn't tell me this, but it was something that I came to the realization of why it was important, whether he did or not, was because, and once again, remember, most of these guys are the farmers, they're not the fermentation artists, right? And the fermentation people are the buyers. So they're creating standards on the farmers to produce their grapes a specific way so that they get the most amount of money out of those grapes. And what are they doing? They're doing the fermentation process. And if there are more sugars in those grapes, they're going to get more ethanol out of the whole situation. Ethanol being alcohol. So to just backstep a second, bricks is about creating a standard in the industry. When you have large ag, the art of growing and being in tune to your plants gets replaced with systematic processes, because when you are bottling up 10,000 or 100,000 bottles, people want a consistent experience. Although as farmers get bigger, the people capable of making a quality opinion through taste ends up dwindling away, and they end up needing instruments to kind of help guide the process, because again, the fermentation people normally aren't the growers. So those fermentation people are all kind of about the sugar, because that sugar does X amount of fermentation. The pros of using a refractory meter in the wine industry really is creating a consistent product. The cons is less people have the confidence to make the most productive decision, which leads to key insights being lost over time. A tool and practice like this comes invaluable when you have already developed a systematic approach by feel. Again, that's in my opinion. Learning your plants in and out, like learning how to make love to your wife or girlfriend, is important before using tools to replace yourself. Ha ha ha, I know that's a joke, but seriously guys, that's what these tools do. The best guidance I can give you is after you grow the strain, grow it again and again and again. Figure out if you enjoy growing the plant. Do you enjoy the entire experience? Does your market enjoy the end product? Then at this point, you have to switch your hat from the entrepreneurial hat to the managerial hat, and think about what a manager does, right? A manager creates schedules and makes sure things happen consistently. Technicians are the ones that actually go out and write down all the numbers and do the process, do the watering, doing different things like this. If you don't have the ability to be systematic, a tool like this has no value to you. That's really the best I can kind of say about this product for this industry. So let me kind of be real for a second. Bricks comes from the wine industry. Wine is a vine crop, minimum 3-year investment before you get your first harvest. Once again, because of where the wine industry's at, the fermentation companies need consistent products. That means they need a sugar level for that fermentation process. Because our plants don't go through a fermentation process, we, at the end of the day, actually protect them, have a controlled environment. They, in a sense, kind of stay even stay alive, right? Some of the growers will try to cure the product for over a year. Because our plants don't go through a fermentation process, I think this tool has no place in our industry. I think this tool is just another distraction for growers that don't want to learn the fundamentals. And I'm not trying to be hard on this. This is just something that I'm a critical thinker, right? We, at our family, we were growing to large scale production. My father probably already knew about this instrument. Why didn't he use it, right? And the reason why he didn't use it, because he was the head grower, because once again, there was no purpose to use it. Our end product was not to fermentate, it was to burn or extract. I think terpene profiles are more dependent on bacteria, fungi, minerals, and growing conditions. I do think Brix is a great practice and is a great tool for measuring stuff. Just where our industry is at, I think there are other tools and growing practices that could be more effective to help the growers come along, especially the new growers. And that's what I want to do. I want to get more people involved in this industry so that they turn around and grow more food and vegetables for their family. Other tools and practices that I still think are dramatically underdeveloped is using a basic microscope and looking at the crystals. I think learning how to read mineral deficiencies on the plants will benefit you so much more dramatically. A client of mine, never grown before, got a seed, hit me up, and said, I want to learn everything about growing because next year I want to start a whole business. And that's kind of like a big step, you know. Someone gets a seed, someone says that they're going to do a large grow operation the following year. I kind of really have to hear what they have to say when they are telling me this, and my job is to get them to where they want to be, right? The issue about this is that we don't know if it's a male or female. We don't know how long of a growing season it is. He's growing in his garage in extremely hot growing conditions in Arizona, and he's never done this before. So obviously it takes a couple weeks to kind of get everything properly set up. You know, the temperature, obviously he started a little bit more in the cooler condition and it slowly increased. So there's these points where growers say, I want to do something, but then every single time you say, okay, go buy an air conditioner, go buy an RO system, go buy this or go buy that. They're like, what? You know, another $400, another $500 right out of their pocket. Definitely this gentleman bought the necessary equipment to learn how to do this plant. Although we start getting to week 7 and the plant still looks super green and healthy. And the nutrients that we're using is a very clean nutrient. We're using NPK raw nutrients. It's one of my approved products I use and refer growers to when they want to grow in hydroponics. Although the flowers aren't filling up, they're looking like they're densing up, and we were having issues earlier with the heat. So the root systems were getting on the darker color. He started off with the Fox Farm nutrients and I ended up switching them over, got the microbiology going, definitely made a dramatic difference. He bought an AC unit, reduced the temperature in the ambient air, which then dramatically helped out with the single bubble system. And I'm being straight up with you guys. I'm showing you guys all these pictures right now because I want to show you the struggle that this grower went through from the very beginning and how long it took to get to a point where he created a healthy growing environment. Although week 7, week 8 roll around, and once again, I can't show these pictures on the regular video, but I do double upload a video with all the pictures, and it's not monetized and there's no ads, but I put that on the membership site because YouTube has been flagging my account dramatically, and if I don't properly label the videos, then my channel is going to start getting flagged even more, which they're already doing pretty dramatically. So if you can imagine anyone that's had root issues and heat issues in the root system for a long period of time, you'll know that the plant kind of elongates. He also topped the plant, which was just fine. It wasn't a big deal. It was just he topped the plant, but also having the root issues also kind of creates an elongated experience, in my opinion. And you don't know if you're going to run into Pythium and the fungus is already kind of like taking root in your plant, you know, because I've seen it where after it gets to a certain point, the plants will dampen off, you know, 3rd week into flowering, they'll just dampen off. We were so fortunate. We kept getting past these critical points because I was dramatically concerned about it, and I would bring it up to him. Although we get up into week 7, week 8, and I'm expecting hopefully the plants will start to fill in, but they're not filling in. And I'm feeling shitty because obviously I'm supposed to be this head grower. I'm supposed to be able to make sure any grower will bring in the harvest without failure. And in a sense, I feel like I'm failing him right now. And then I just look at the plant and I just take a step back and say, you know what? The plant's looking green. I know the nutrients is a solid nutrient line. fine. I know the ambient air, the environmental conditions are solid. I know he has a decent light. You know what? I have no idea if this is actually a longer flowering strain, right? And that's what I did. I went back to my fundamentals. I said, hey, go grab a microscope, take a look at the crystals. What color are they? And I went back to the fundamentals. I do know the plant went through some trauma in the beginning and the yield is going to be hurt. Although, as of this point shooting this video, the plants are still growing. We're moving into week 9. The crystals are still extremely clear. And there's a good chance this plant's probably going to be like an 11-weeker or 12-weeker. Either way, it's going to be a great experience for this grower because he really went through every single thing you could possibly go through except for bug problems. He's determined to grow hydroponics in Arizona, and if he didn't run through heat temperatures and understanding to buy AC units and all these other things, he wouldn't be equipped with the fundamentals needed to make a wise decision when he hopefully hires a head grower for his facility when he starts growing. Although my client needs to have those fundamentals to be able to distinguish the difference between a good grower and a shitty grower. If I told him to use this instrument to make a decision, I would only end up confusing him. The most unique thing about this industry is our testing process, in my opinion. Our ability to measure specific profiles from the plant, I think, is how we actually should determine the best growing practices. A lot of these tests are live from these companies. If we just went back and looked at the profiles that are getting 4% on the terpene profile side and just went back and talked to those growers, they would be able to teach us how to grow the healthiest plants. You guys have to remember that there are a lot of growers that are crossing over from other industries into our industry. They are going to have their own learning curve. They're going to want to bring in their own fundamentals and their own thought process. And it's only going to create other improvements in our industry. Although some practices for our industry have held true for over 50 to 60 years. Sometimes the saying, if it's not broke, just don't fix it, really holds true. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Guys, I don't know everything. There are much better growers out there than me. So if you think there is actual value for this practice in this industry, do it. Enjoy it. Do whatever it takes to bring your life. Do what makes you happy. Thank you so much, and have a great grow, everyone. As you can see it right here, the yellowing in the leaves right here, this is all white flies, and you can even see a little bit of yellowing right here. And the white flies are coming in through the center. All this green right here is this is one plant right here, and I built it over just because I have short ceilings.